Greetings, everyone. This is Duke Violation, and I'm here in Shroud of the Avatar, currently just finishing up the Welcome Quest. Big shout out to the towns who participated in the Welcome Quest and all of the avatars who participated. I would not be surprised if we maxed out our instance. So quite a few people showed up, had a great time, got some good drinks over at the Bear Tavern, got some stuff from Zara Bray, some good storytelling up there. We were able to head over and see Port Phoenix and the Isle of Wonders, and then we finished up over in Vengeance and Pack Slayer. So it was a really good run. And what I'm showing you guys right now is the welcome torch that you actually got for completing this quest. I do have some spare welcome torches, but no, you cannot have them. These are unique quest items given out to the people who actually complete the welcome quest. We have been running this now since Duke Gregor conceived of it since I believe R6. So if you guys want to participate in that, we're going to be running it throughout pre-alpha, and then we'll probably modify it and continue it running through persistence and beta and through release as well. So give me just a second here. I'm going to finish up a couple things, and then I'll come back online live and chat with you guys some more.
Run, run, run away.
Yeah, great shapes. The member ID number is 682772-3-01.
Frame rate is dropping.
Yeah, mine was horrible during the tavern. I had like 2 frames a second.
Yeah. That's why I scooted out on my alt. Dame Abby was there at like 3 o'clock, and I took a screenshot and got out of there.
Yeah. I had all the quest items I was going to hand out, I had to turn it over to one of my counterparts that wasn't lagging so bad, and I couldn't see anything going on. Everybody was moonwalking on tables and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because I haven't had the money. Can I go back to him under Medicare complete and get my glasses filled? Because I did it underneath Medicare and Medicaid when I had my exam.
Well, I did play with the housing, set up all the night tents in my area and Hall Trot.
Yeah, I haven't had much time to do anything this release. Been busy. Got lucky and I was able to do a little bit of that quest.
Oh, the tricorn, the hat and mask.
Yeah, I did that, and that was pretty much the extent. I got a couple levels on my character, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that leveling is kind of serious right now. Like, it makes a big difference if you level or not.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was playing around with the stats and got figured out how to get the best way to get the attack skill up, because that seems to be gives you a chance of increased damage per hit.
Yeah. Intellect. Attack skill is intellect.
Intellect's the best, and then Dex gives you straight attack skill at the same rate as intellect does, but strength gives you reduced attack skill, like about half of what the other two do.
Yeah. I actually want to go over this a little bit real quick while we're talking about it. Oh, I can't. I was trying to control my game on the actual watch screen. That was hilarious.
Yeah. That's
So
a V
anyway,
bar.
the V key, victory, V, vengeance, there we go, brings up your character stats. And as you adjust things inside of your skills, K brings up your skills. If you notice on this window, as well as most windows now, there's actually a tip that shows you what the hotkey is, as well as you can hit this little button up here to open most of the windows right there. So anyway, I'm going to jump into Magic here real quick, jump into Focus, and I'm going to show you the stats adjust live. So you can see as I drop the intelligence, the attack skill, and the focus drop. And I'm going to drop it all the way down so you guys can see that adjustment there, and then I'm going to bring it right back up.
Yeah, I see that.
So you can actually... I'm sorry?
Yours adjusted different than mine. My attack skill went up by 2.5 for every intel.
Yeah, I think it matters on what you are and where your skills are. I actually just adjusted over to this build. For quite a while, I was running straight healer, and at the end of the Fire Lotus Tavern thing, there were some duels and people weren't wanting to fight too much, so I decided to really quick try to throw a spec together with some skills that I could use that were not melee, because long live the mage. But, let's try anyway, right? So I put Death Touch in with improved death magic. I put Stone Fist in with the extra increased resistance and avoidance, so I'd be a little bit harder to kill. Because Cloth is like, it's atrocious. I mean, Gambeson armor, Cloth, and leather, you can get one shot. Literally, I've been one shot by melee users, and there's nothing you can do to survive. Flame Fist there with the increased fire damage. And I was actually able to win a duel, but that was also my first real duel. So I have 100% this release for true attempted duels. I fought one and won one.
50%.
Anyway, okay, I'm going to stop screen sharing for a second. Let us introduce ourselves and invite some people in. Hi, I'm Duke Violation, and I've been running these community hangouts for a while now, and this hangout's going to be a little bit different than some of the previous ones because I am directly going to be looking at what we think about what was just done. I thought it was really cool to be able to do one of our hangouts during the last release. So I wanted to kind of do that again here, and I'm going to keep doing this from this point forward. There's going to be a hangout during the releases, as long as it's not more frequent than every other week, because that's already a lot for me. So the end goal here is really going to be to recap, and I didn't push as hard the RSVP. If you notice, there's not a lot of people in here yet. So if you're watching and you want to join, feel free. I'm in IRC, I'm watching the forums, and I'm really not paying attention to the game at all. I know you can see that it's up, but I have the Hangout window over that. So that's one of my monitors that I'm not paying attention to. So either PM me on the forums, hit me up in IRC, hit me up in TeamSpeak, and I will send you a join link so you can come in and chat. So I'm actually okay if nobody wants to join. We can actually get more conversation between the four of us as well. So don't feel pressured. You can just watch, and I guarantee we'll all have enough to say. So, yeah, do you guys mind if I kick it off with the first topic?
Go for it.
Issues with Steam. Good things with Steam. I'm going to tell you my biggest complaint. I lost all my screenshots from the first 2 days because I hate Steam and I never set up Steam before, and my screenshot key did not take a single screenshot of the game. I hit F11 when I wanted screenshots done, and it didn't work because Steam controls the screenshots within the game. So even though your screenshot key is set up in the game correctly, it will not work on Steam. That sucked. I like screenshots. I have a bad memory, and I lost all my screenshots from the first 2 days of the game because I didn't know that. Honestly, I didn't know that Steam controlled screenshots when you're playing a Steam game. So, yeah, I mean, let's talk Steam, guys. What do you guys think?
I haven't used it yet. I've downloaded it and got my everything linked, but I really haven't used it much yet. Other games with Steam, I haven't had too much problems with it.
Okay. I mean, anybody else using Steam? Johnny, or excuse me, Siamano, and go for it. Go ahead and unmute and make your comments.
I have always enjoyed Steam games, and this is no different. Steam works as it's supposed to, as you stated. You have to know what you're doing to take screenshots and keep them. Mine go directly to my Dropbox account, no problem.
Sorry, I was getting asked something in IRC. Yeah, great. So I do have another issue that was brought up. Currently, there is a player marketplace, and I don't know if the person wants me to mention their name or not, but this is not my idea. And I will probably put a comment on this video if I hear that they want their name mentioned, but I'm not going to mention it because I don't know if they want their name associated with what I'm about to talk about. People sell accounts and sell items frequently, and it doesn't matter what game you're talking about. If there is an online storage for that game, it can be a mobile game, it can be a role-playing game, it can be a shooter game. People sell accounts. The most notorious high-value accounts are MMORPGs, which this has that aspect to it. A sandbox RPG, it has that aspect to it. They're notorious for gaining really high values, and one of the things that there's a warning about is you can't change your account once it's bound to Steam. So if you sell your account to somebody, how can they put it on their Steam account? You following what I'm saying? That could be a future issue. You guys find a problem with that, or you think it's okay that the buyers never get to use Steam?
Well, I know that being with Steam a long time, that if you sell an account, you have to have them change their email and their password on the account you sell them to the Steam account. That's the way that works.
So we're talking about selling the Shroud of the Avatar account, not your entire Steam account. I guess that's a different conversation in and of itself, though. You're talking about selling your whole Steam account, like all of your games?
No. If you sell one of your Shroud of the Avatar accounts to someone else, the person who receives the account has to change the email and password to match their Steam account for it to work.
Okay, I'm following what you're saying now. All right, well, unless somebody else has something to say about Steam, that's kind of all I've got on it, and I think I will kind of take a look at one of the other things that we have here on the topics. You guys okay with that? All right, maps. What do you guys think about the maps? Did you guys see that they're adding new zones, changing the overland map, changed the way you get into places? They reduced how many zones that there are in total because you have to go to the right spot before you can enter. You can't just enter anywhere. They added a control point, so on and so forth. That's what I'm talking about. You guys, go ahead.
I like the most recent one they did with the overland map, where they added a bunch of the different textures, the roads, the mountains, the foliage, and even changed some of the trees around to different types of forests. I like that one. As for the hexes, I can understand reducing, how many hexes they had, but I think they should have kept some mysterious hexes out there. So if you go around and you could, enter unknown forest or something like that, several different types of unknown forests to keep it more vast instead of everybody going to one spot and killing everything and nobody else has the ability to kill anything to try to level up. Because I had that experience of going into one of the forests that every time I went in there, there's 20 people in there killing everything and everything was always dead. For the control point, I kind of like the control point idea. Haven't really messed with it that much, so it's still something to experience in the next release or two when I have a chance. I'm good.
Somebody else? Can't hear you. Siamano, we can't hear you. Make sure you have the correct mic selected in G+. At the top, it has a settings gear. All right, I'm going to talk while he checks that out.
I had something.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Now you made me forget. What were we talking about?
Maps, zones,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
hexes.
The overland map is vastly improved from, let's see, R4, R5, whenever it first came out. uh, the the roads look like, paved or gravel roads. The towns, you have to press enter to get into them instead of click on them. I dislike that we can't use our mouse in the overland map to move, but I got over that. And the PvP zones are more accurately hmm, prompted. That's the word, prompted. So I don't go into a PvP zone unless you know I'm flagged for it, and that way I don't get attacked when I'm not ready for it. Going into the known elves location, I've not run into the problem of many people being in there and killing everything. I've gone into most instances throughout Thursday, Friday, and today that there might have been one or two other people in the zone at the same time I was. No problem. I'm done.
We actually ran through a zone with about 14 people. We had a party of 8. We had a couple tag-alongs, and then there were some other people. And I can say spawn rate was an issue for us. Um, because we could kill. I mean, literally, I had the full increased length of heal, and I could have people over here that I'm healing and people over here that I'm healing, keeping the entire party up and going. For the most part, there were a few spiders that some people spiders died. But some of that was because the spiders attacked the healer and nobody got the spiders off the healer. Spiders. So I don't know if you guys spiders noticed that there's a specific mob that got added to this game uh, in a fashion that I was not expecting and absolutely love. If you stand in the fire, you
Wolves?
burn. That's the theory. And with the spiders, if you stand in the poison, you die. And as a healer that stands and doesn't pay attention and just watches the health bars on the left-hand side of my screen and clicks on people and heal and clicks on people and heal, and then I'm dying and I'm like, what? And then when I go to move, it's too late and I'm like, serves me right for being ignorant. So that said, after I started paying attention to the poison, I was able to keep our whole party up pretty well. And a person would die randomly, but you could have literally squads of 3 to 4 running around, and the healer caught between them, and everybody would level very quickly. I like the fact that you could be a distance away and still get benefit because you were in the party. I think the party should skill up together as long as you're in the same instance. I like that. Um, I just think that maybe the difficulty of the spawn rate should be increased for the larger parties, and the difficulty of the density of the spawns themselves could be increased for larger parties. There was a spot, Siamano, you'd know where this was better than I would. Was it the deep woods, which had the liches?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Deep Woods.
Yeah, so there was a spot with some liches and some skeletons, and they were summoning skeletons, and people were running away when they started to get low on health, which would then aggravate more skeletons to join in, and then people would get even more scared because the party grew, and then they would disperse out, and then they were outside of line of sight of heals, and they would start dying, and we wiped on those like 2 or 3 times. It takes some coordination. I like that. I want to see more of that. The actual you have to pay attention to play, the active play, not the mindless sit there and hit 1, 2, 3. I like that you had to get out of the poison. I like the things that take active play. So I would say the density of monsters that Mulgratab is talking about is definitely something that should be addressed. Yeah. Siamano, you had something to say and your mic wasn't working?
Oh, I was just talking about the Overland map. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I think they've done a great job at improving that. I do like, for example, having the enter button rather than double click, because there was a couple times last time I would click and I'm like, dang it. And I definitely do like, this is the first release that I've really done a whole lot of PvE. I'm typically in a PvP zone the entire time, and I enjoyed it overall. One thing that I definitely do want to address though is if I'm a mage and I take on a bear, I die to a bear. If I'm plate and I take on a bear, I don't even take damage. I would aggro 10 of them and not lose really any health, but if I was wearing cloth, I would die to a bear. Um, so I know it's pre-alpha. I'm not lowering them, bro. But definite. I did notice in PvE, especially as PvP too, but PvE especially, there's an imbalance between the cloth or the light armor and the heavy armor.
But isn't that the difference between light and heavy armor?
No, I'll tell you why. A light armor person has greater mobility and can automatically outmaneuver a heavy armor person in this video game in a virtual world. You don't have the same control of your character that you do in real life. You have to control things based on these guys. That's it. Where in real life, you can be adjusting with a lot more muscles and a lot more fine-tuned movement. So they have to dumb down the complexity of the system in order to make it realistic in a game environment. Okay, so the benefits of plate far outweigh the benefits of mobility through the game system, and I think that's the issue right now, is that they made squishies way too squishy and gave them no benefit to speed. So,
well, and speed in PvE isn't that big of a bonus. There's not
no, it actually is a penalty, in my opinion. Running away
Yeah.
makes it worse.
So you want to fight a monster. So there's no increased damage. If anything, I think it's worse damage. Like using magic, I purposely stacked trying probably 10 different builds trying to do damage with single target or AoE or a combination thereof. And everything I found, combat, not magic, did more damage and lived longer. And there was no reason to go light armor at all in PvE or PvP that I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm going to respond to two things in IRC real quick. I'm going to read something that I don't understand fully, but Smack says they need to unbind the two accounts. Steam binding is a Soda thing, not a Steam thing, as far as I'm aware. And then there are some comments about the plate versus non-plate. And I think I want to jump into this. We're going to mix these two together. The character advancement and the spells and skills, they heavily play with each other. So I'm going to do a quick overcap of what we see right now and what issues I can see with that. The issues part we'll do more conversational like we usually do, and then I'm just going to kind of describe the system as it is right now. So you start off the game at level 5. You don't start at level 1, you start at level 5. And every time you get a level, you get about 8 skill points. There are a couple levels you get more than that, but we'll just say for simplicity's sake, you get 8 skill points per level, okay? And when you hit your level 1 for each decade of life, you get a penalty to your deck size, which could be seen as a positive thing if you're not a deck user. As a deck user, I play on odds and chances. And anyway, I'll explain the system, then we'll get into the rest of it. So as you hit level 11, you get another 5 cards you can add. As you hit, or a minimum of 5 cards you have to add, because you'll get slugs if you don't. Level 21, same thing. Level 31, same thing. Level 41, same thing. So your deck requirement, how many skills you have to build into your deck, increases as you level up, which dramatically reduces the chance of you getting the skill that you want. Where lock skills, as you level up, they actually are better for you, because the more points you put into a locked skill, this is new, this is part of the advancement system right now, the new skill system that they're trying to implement and tinker with, it reduces the penalty. So if you put 1 point into Resurrection, for example, it would cost 3 times the focus, 160 focus, okay, and it would cost 3 times the cooldown than what it would cost if you had 5 points in it. It would only be a 1.25 multiplier, and it would only be a little bit longer of a cooldown. Okay, so as you have more points to put in things, it actually benefits you now. Prior, it did not. So the lock system can actually benefit from leveling things up, where before it could not. Now here's the kicker. So the lock system, you have your 7 skills that you're always going to have, or your 10 skills you're always going to have, however you want to build it, right? I think it caps at 9 actually. But anyway, as you level up, you can make those skills better and better and better and better by investing more points into them. Where with the deck system, as you level up, you have less and less of a chance of finding those points in your deck because you have to increase your size or you get slugs. So either a slug is going to make it a lower percentage chance or another skill is going to make it a lower percentage chance. So advancement in this game penalizes you for playing with a non-locked deck. That's the statement I'm going to make. So with that kind of overview, advancement, you get skill points as you grow, you get a little bit of health and focus as you go, you get a requirement of a deck size increase as you grow. Let's talk that out. I mean, what do you guys think about that whole advancement system? What do you guys think about that whole change in the game right there?
I'll hop in on this one. The first thing I did notice is I was playing with a deck earlier, and I was fighting somebody, I don't remember who it was, and I was able to compete with somebody that was 15 levels above me, if I remember right. Maybe I think it was 17 levels actually. So the difference in levels isn't necessarily crazy on that end, but I did not notice. I don't play with lock decks. I didn't notice putting more points in reduce or the cost of it and everything. I'm actually gonna mess with that, to be honest, because the way the deck system is right now and the way that points are and such, I feel kind of useless unless I'm using a polearm. Everybody's running around, and I literally just sat there and dueled a plate wearer, and I messed with every build I could with ranged attacks to fire and everything else, and I wasn't able to compete. Maybe I can with that. The other thing I would like to point out, somebody pointed this out to me, I don't remember who it was, somebody in TeamSpeak, and this could be a potential problem as well. If you look inside of the Blades tree, the polearm, pretty much any of the melee trees, there is multiple different single target attacks. You can actually, as well as an AoE attack, there's multiple attacks. If you go into fire, there is one melee, which if you're in melee range as a caster, you're already at a disadvantage. So maybe it's something to hold you over, but you're already at a major disadvantage. There is a single target dot, there is a ground target AoE, and an AoE. There's not even a direct ranged attack to do an okay amount of damage. There is in earth, there's one, and you can't go down and just get a whole bunch of different attack abilities. There's different buffs and things, but there's not a very offensive caster build that I've seen. It's a very support role. You're still muted, Joseph.
That's the issue with the increased deck size, in my opinion, because the skill trees, as you look at them, appear to be very limiting to higher levels. That's why I make the comment that I feel like it's going to actually penalize you, because what I found is after I hit level 20, it sucked, because as a healer I only had so many skills, and now I have to layer in things like potions and 5 purifies instead of, and I had to do things just to fill up these spots so slugs didn't appear. Now, you can make the argument, if you haven't played Shroud of the Avatar, well, why put the skill in? I want to explain slugs to you for a moment if you don't understand them. They will appear whether you put the skill in or not. That slug will actually take the spot of the skill. So your direct percentage chance for the ability you want decreases dramatically as you progress in your levels, So, no worries, Andrew. Or Gollum, sorry. Yeah, no, so the issue you find there is the average melee fighter that I'm finding has locked since the beginning. Like, ever since the deck system was created, the melee fighters, they've been locking since I've started talking to them, there's only been 2 or 3 people that I've talked to, and they were good, but there was only 2 or 3 people I talked to that didn't lock, and one of them I would love to run into this release to see if they locked or not, but I haven't seen them on yet. Um, so essentially, by this change through advancement, it's hurt the casters on top of the fact that the additional changes to the melee classes have improved them, in my opinion. So I do agree. I can say right now, as somebody who takes a pride in my competitive side, and as somebody who has been pretty good in the tournaments, I can tell you right now that any melee fighter with their salt can kill me more than I can kill them. And I think I'm a pretty good PvPer. So I do plan on switching over to melee because I can't enjoy a game that I die in all the time. I just can't. It's no fun. And when you're out fighting monsters, you have a super penalty, and when you're in PvP, you have a minor penalty. So
Okay.
go for it. Yeah.
Okay. I have played with a deck, and I have played with a locked set. I prefer the locked set A because it doesn't have slugs. Because if you're using a deck and magic, you have a double negative. You have the slugs and you have the fizzle chance. If you're using a locked deck and heavy armor, say plate, you don't have to worry about the slugs and or the fizzles for your attacks if you're sword and board or whatever weapon you're using. You don't have those double negatives. I'm done.
Okay. Anybody else have a comment to make? Because I've already said a lot, so I wanted to give some of the others some comment. If not, we can move on. Okay. So housing functionality. The basements got pushed back. For those of you who didn't know, they're not just I can't find the basements. They're actually not in game. So basements got pushed back. We can't really comment on them right now. They're supposed to be in R12. So here's the basements in R12. Crafting. And I will have to say, yeehaw. I am still loving crafting. I think that this game's redeeming value is its sandbox role players are talented. They come from Ultima Online,
Yes,
the greatest MMO game in the entire universe in all of history, and just the little love for that game. But we've got a great roleplay community, and you put them with good crafting into a game, and it's going to be good. Combat's hugely important, but right now I think that this community is making up for some of the other stuff. And I think that's great because the dev team only has a couple weeks at a time to advance this game. You know, if you think about the release schedule we've been playing on, it's been very aggressive, and they'll add stuff to the game for a couple weeks, and they'll try to fix the bugs for a week, and then they'll let us test it and bug report for a week. And that's kind of this cycle that we've been playing on. And the amount of stuff that they get added in just a couple weeks' time is so impressive. It's insane. But crafting right now, there's a recipe for every table, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there's a table that you can't use. And I've got a lot of those recipes. I might show a couple of them off, but I got a lot of those recipes in my book right now. And I guess I just wanted to ask, what do you guys think about crafting to this point? What do you think is broken? What do you think is great? And where do you think it should go? So take it away.
I could actually pipe in on 2 seconds. I forgot to say one thing on the last topic. It's very minor, very quick. I really like the death improvements. I think the Lich looks cool. Obviously, there's still little bugs with pets and whatnot, but the last section was a little bit of negative toward Portalarium. I really do like the improvements with death. Okay, back to crafting.
Crafting is wonderful. I've been playing with the woodworking part of it since it was available. I have 3 to 4 pages of woodworking carpentry stuff. I'm playing with the alchemy stuff. Uh, don't have any other interest right this minute, but I love it. Oh, by the way, I'm Sir Gawain or Dame Gabby in the game.
Yeah, the alchemy stuff is interesting. It was kind of disappointing that we only had the 2 recipes this release, but I very much look forward to what other models and other stuff that they add into the game coming up next release, especially. Um, as a woodworker myself, the woodworking is definitely a source of pride for me to go in and see similar steps to real life. And having gone back to Guild Wars 2 because of one of my close friends here in my area, the discovery method in that game and the discovery method in Shroud of the Avatar has some similarities, and it's actually kind of fun to put the two side by side with each other and start making some comparisons now that we've reached that level of development where there's enough substance there that we can make real comparisons to games that have been out for a while and say, okay, here's what we like, here's what we don't like, here's what needs polish, things like that.
Yeah, and that progression system that's in there, the thing that I get a kick out of is that in most games, a notable game, a lot of people played World of Warcraft. You get a couple of professions and then you're done. And sometimes some games will even lock you to how many of this type of profession you can have and how many of this type of profession you can have, and then you're done. And I really like the fact that you can jump in and do so much with crafting right now. I hope that it stays that anybody can do anything. It's just how well they can do it is based on their skill tree. One of the things that kind of concerned me early on was a conversation with the devs that they talked about. They want any one avatar to be able to do about a third of the stuff that is out there when it comes to skill points. And that kind of scared me because I'm a kind of guy that likes to do it all. I mean, I'm obsessive compulsive gamer, and there's a lot of you out there that are watching. But if there's a 0 to 100, I want to get it to 100. Okay, and it's one of those things that them saying you can't do more than XYZ, no matter how hard it is, they're saying I can't play that part of the game, and that kind of was one of those, I don't know if I'm going to like it, you know? And
well, one of the things
I
I'm
love
curious
the fact that, go ahead.
One of the things with that, though, is we can rebuild our skill trees. So if you need to put all your points into, let's say, weaponsmithing to make that one sword that you really want to be able to use, I think we'll have the ability to do that, and then you'll have to go through all that rigmarole, the cost and time, rebuild yourself back skill tree-wise to what you want. But yeah, at any one point, you're limited to that small, concise little area. One of the things I liked in Guild Wars 2 was I could train 2 professions, maximize them out, change both of those to something else. I could always change back and be at max level for those, but there was the time and the cost involved with that. And so you were still focused and limited, but you could do a lot of things and be very flexible. And with my touting wanting to be the provider of the best and rarest dyes, I need that ability to maximize that crafting tree, but still be able to rebuild my tree to put points into enough combat where I can go and start murdering innocent people such as Star and Richard as they're out and possibly forgetting to put on invulnerability.
Yeah, I want to mention a couple things from chat real quick. Some people are watching behind, some people are watching on time here. Somebody's commented that with the leveling, at level 52, level 20s can easily compete. Talking about adding combos to the lock skill bar. I would encourage against that. Most people did encourage against that, but somebody did mention it there. I did want to mention as well that for those of you who have watched previous Hangouts, you'll realize that some of the recommendations we made have actually visibly been put into the game already. And I think that's great. I wanted to give a big thank you to the devs for paying attention to that. The most notable one I want to talk about real quick is the tactics rework that happened between the last release and this release. The offhand is no longer the base tactics ability, and before you had to take offhand, and now you don't. So bravo. And couple more things here. Jerk has mentioned that there are 3 character slots. I am aware that there are 3 character slots. At the time that they announced that, there were not. It was assumed that each account would only have 1 character. So my response was to buy 2 more accounts. I did. I bought 2 more accounts, and one of those is now my daughter's account, and one of those is an ancestor alt that I have. So yeah, that's just something to mention there that we know that was added down the road though. And Grimace mentions that the systems are in flux. Yeah, balancing hasn't happened, and I don't expect it to happen for months. I get that they're in flux, but I also want to provide some feedback off the beginning because I think it's kind of dangerous the way that they're going about things. The deck combat is only good if skill stays in it. And skill with deck combat, a lot of people argue about because they say, well, it isn't skill, it's whack-a-mole. And my comment is, no, it's the highest level of skill that I've ever seen in anything before because if you build the proper deck, you get an advantage in combat. Where at the max level, you can't build the proper deck anymore. You can't set yourself up to where there were a lot of times I was dead before I got one skill I wanted. That's how random it becomes as you level up higher. So that's kind of my comment on that. And can we talk 2,000 damage on a short drops? Joviex, yes we can. For those of you who don't know, if you stand off the side of a fence where your feet are completely off the fence and you are about 20% below the railing on the fence and you stay there for about 5 minutes, take a step forward and you will die with over 100,000 damage. If you get rezzed without moving, you jump, you will die with another 100,000 damage. So I think I think they're aware that the shortfalls kill you. I think that they are familiar with the code that needs to be changed, and I think it's just the fact that it's a pre-alpha that they haven't adjusted that yet. It's not something that needs testing to resolve. It's a known issue. It's not important. That's all.
It's also a feature.
Oh, it's a feature. Oh, look out!
It's a feature. It's not a bug. It's a feature.
Just like not being able to sit or lay down on the bed this release is a feature.
Right. We want all of our avatars to have insomnia. So that's a feature at the moment. It'll be a stretch goal for us to have to remove insomnia as a feature.
Yeah, I love the fact that my avatar hasn't had a bite of food in 6 months, and now he eats food and doesn't see it. No, yeah. So anyway, that's kind of a recap there, going back through everything in IRC. Keep throwing stuff at me if you guys want. I'll keep reading it. And the stuff I just recapped, does anybody here have a comment they want to make?
With the skill combat thing, I actually want to toss Shadows of Mordor out there as something that has a lot of skill involved with it. And I really like that kind of active combat system where you're actively choosing when you're doing a basic strike, as well as you're actively choosing when to parry and defend against other strikes. And yeah, they put up a visual cue to help you do it, but there's some pretty amazing combat scenes you can find from so many different streamers and those of us who put videos out on YouTube of combat where you just feel so satisfied, even if you have only, killed 4 or 5 guys. It maybe took you 15, 20 minutes to get through it, but it took a lot of timing and strategy and skill to execute all those attacks and parries and not take maybe less than 5% of your max health as damage, and successfully get through that. It's quite fun, actually. And so there's little elements of that might be worth looking at from both a ranged combat and melee combat thing as well, where it's very highly polished. You can tell they sat on that game a very long time, which is very different from how Shroud is being developed, where we're seeing it literally with no polish of any kind.
I'm gonna mention that Jovix likes your comment about what game is good to follow for combat. And then there are some comments about professions. World of Warcraft is limiting. Final Fantasy XIV is great. So that was from...
Yeah, FF14 did a lot of really nice things. It just was sad it took so long for them to fix the larger issues and polish a lot of issues.
Yeah. Bugs kill games. Okay, so creatures. Spiders. Let's go ahead and talk about spiders. Some of the different creatures that were spiders added to the game. So they mentioned that the liches were targeted, and the ability to add to summon skeletons. Thank God it wasn't spiders. The ability to stun and root players. Thank God spiders weren't around, and to generate area of effect spells around them. Why weren't there area of effect spells around the spiders? That's the only thing they were missing to be demigods. No, seriously, let's go ahead and talk about creatures a little bit.
Well, I'm going to mention the one thing I just put in the chat. I love the Kobold War Camp. When I showed up in there, unarmed and talking to the kobolds, and all of a sudden, one archer just starts randomly shooting another kobold, and kobolds are fighting other kobolds and murdering each other, and I'm just standing there going, what's going on here? It was so much fun to see the AI just mess with me and make me go, oh crap, what's going to happen? Did Richard plan something here of some evil creature coming to kill me? And this is
that sounds like a Dark Souls thing to me.
I zoned in on him while it was going on.
Chaos.
It was pure. It was just a thing of beauty. It was wonderful.
I zoned in on him while it was happening, and I died laughing. I don't know if it was a bug or if it was on purpose. I hope it was on purpose, but it was as if that kobold was a criminal, and literally there was 10 different kobolds destroying that kobold. Like, they were just destroying him. You're like, what? Why are they doing this?
Oh my God.
And it was definitely something you're not used to seeing, and I hope it was on purpose.
It's a thing of beauty. Keep putting more Easter eggs like that in there where it confuses us and makes us want to talk to the NPCs more and go, what's going on? I'm confused.
Yeah, and something else I want to mention that Richard mentioned in a Hangout before is how do you know what you're killing is actually the bad guy? Just because it looks like it's a bad guy doesn't mean it's actually a bad guy. I think stuff like that actually causes you to pause and think a little bit. Our natural reaction as consumers is to consume. We want to take out of this world. So for the vast majority, that means to kill everything. For the others, it could be collect everything and hoard it. We're consumers. And our natural reaction is to take away. And sometimes if that stuff happens, it causes us to stop and say, wait, the system's taking from itself. I don't understand. What am I supposed to do? Should I help this guy out? Should I heal him? No, I can't heal him because then those 10 would attack me. It's cool. I like that. So
yeah, I kind of tried to help one of the other ones that got attacked. It did not end well for me at all. In fact, he turned on me for helping him, and they all killed me. And then when I rezzed and went back in there, they killed me again. It was a great time.
That sounds like my pets. I have repetitive issues with pets killing me. I summon a pet and it attacks me. So, yeah.
It's a great feature. I highly laud whoever put it in there. I have my most wanted list as to who I think probably did it, but it's a thing of joy.
You're talking about the AI fighting each other, not my pets killing me, right? Just to be clear.
That too.
Wonderful AI. Tomorrow for the with your pets violation at the brawl. We have a repeat.
I have no idea, but I'm kind of scared to find out.
I had a
Okay,
problem
go
with
ahead.
the fire elemental. I played with a magic deck there for a little bit, and the fire elemental wouldn't do anything. Would not attack someone attacking me. It was just there.
Yes, so combat is actually the next thing that's up, and I actually want to talk about that a lot. Um, Combat, we're going to make a movement system have an effect on ranged combat so that running will decrease the effectiveness of ranged attacks while standing still will confer a bonus. We are also removing the requirement to equip arrows in the offhand. Instead, we'll pull straight from the inventory. Um, Big A arrows work from the inventory. Little A arrows do not, FYI, and you can't put any of the arrows on your offhand. So any of your little A arrows you have, you're stuck with them. Deal with it. No, seriously, combat is difficult. And when I say difficult, I mean if you summon something and tell it to attack, it doesn't. You tell it to attack, it doesn't. You tell it to attack, it doesn't. You summon another one, it attacks one mob, and then you tell it to attack and it doesn't. You put it on defensive, you put it on aggressive, you put it on passive, you put it on aggressive. Doesn't matter. It just won't listen to you. I think that the happiness
Worse than it
of,
kills you.
yeah, I think the happiness level of our creatures needs to be increased. When we summon them, they need to automatically love us. Because right now they hate us. And it sucks. Especially for me, because they kill me. But
That's another feature.
okay.
If violation then summoned quotation marks creature equals unhappy. It's very simple.
For testing, it does make things very hard, but I did find a couple ways around it. If you set your pet to passive and walk away, and then tell it to attack something, set it to aggressive and tell it to attack something, it listens for the rest of the time. Why that sequence works, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I have to make him walk a little bit, and after he walks a little bit, it's like he jitters around, and then he's able to walk around, and he's good. And after I change it to away from and then back to aggressive, it actually seems like it works better on aggressive. Also, pets do not know how to walk over rocks, as in texture rocks, not physical rocks, just textures of rocks. They get stuck on them. But combat is very, very, very interesting the way that they're running it right now. So the whole the walking thing, we talked about walking. Were all of you guys here for that? Were any of you guys here for that? The walking in combat?
I might have been
watched,
more
I
in
think,
depth.
for that one.
Okay, so we've talked about that here, and we really wanted to see that. I don't feel like it was there. Did you guys notice anything about standing still giving you a benefit?
What it does is if you're moving, it drops your attack skill about 25 points. If you're walking, it only drops it about 12 points. So it's just all it does is affect the attack skill, and that's it.
So maybe we want to see that increased. I think the feedback would make that visibility increased, because right now I didn't even see it.
Yeah, and with archery, especially, that's something where it needs to be more noticeable than, let's say, with bladed combat of, let's say, a sword. But with two-handed combat, it should be more noticeable than a lighter weapon.
The nervousness I see in that, though, is if archers can't move and melee can, then how will an archer get away? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I also look at some of those other skills like tumble and things like that as other means, too. But
Yeah, and that's fine as long as those means are there. Just don't penalize it so hard that the melee. I almost feel that melee is already too strong because of the armor penalties and such, and that they literally have more attack abilities. That if they do another nerf to ranged and another buff to melee, that it's just going to keep the problem going.
No, I think they should.
but
I don't think they
I like
need to nerf us any more than what they're doing. I think they need to buff us for standing still. Like right now, I can tell you my biggest complaint that I have is I have too many different spots to watch. That before it was okay, but now as they've increased the complexity of them, I can't play deck system and watch my interface. I can't do it. There's too many spells. There's too much variation. There's too many things for me to to pay attention to, and that variation is becoming too complex, and that'll probably adjust with time. I've only had 30 some odd hours that I've had into this game so far, and as I'm able to put 150 hours into an unchanged system, because it constantly is changing on us, I might give different feedback. But right now, I think standing still gives you no extra bonus as a mage. I don't see it. If it's there, I don't see it.
If a mage or an archer is sitting there with a charged bow attack, magic spell, whatever, and they're locking in on me as I'm just running around killing whatever, let's say wolves in the forest, and I'm standing there not even caring that he's over the charged up and ready to go. If he nails me dead on with that, yeah, it should hurt, and it should hurt hard.
Yeah, but right
I
now,
didn't care.
I'll give you an example. My favorite meat shield right now is Jerk. And he has like 300 health or something like that. And you can hit him with whatever spell you want in the game. By the time he gets hit, he can close the gap on you and kill you as a cloth wearer before you can kill him. I mean, it's just it doesn't matter if you're at max range or not. He's got so much health and he's so tanky that I mean, I literally I have no question that there is a huge disadvantage to standing still, because if I let him close that gap, I'm dead, guaranteed every time. So I have to get mobile again, and now there's a penalty for mobility, which is fine. I don't think it should be removed. I just think that I want to see the benefit to standing still, and I don't see it.
Yeah.
So
one of the things they might want to look at is more along the lines of standing still adding crit and not so much maybe a reduction in attack.
Well, accuracy too.
Yeah, that would be another part.
They could also split up the attack skill from just being attack skill for everybody and have melee attack skill, range attack skill, and mage attack skill. Then they could balance it individually instead of trying to balance one skill for all classes.
Yeah, it's one of those where it takes digging into the deep end of the code and seeing, okay, how are all these formulas set up? What needs adjusting?
okay, so I'm going to cover a couple more of these things I see here in chat. X says, I'd like to see a way to avoid archery fire, like having dodge roll make the archers miss. I like that. I don't know why dodge roll doesn't cause them to miss. Like it just makes sense. Why not? Okay. I would love to see a mage hit hard. Yeah, Envy, so would I. Stroby says, having a shield that blocks arrows for a few seconds. So, like, if you dodge, you get a shield that blocks them?
Well, no,
when you put up your shield, you're blocking from the arrows.
Think of the movie 300 and you put up your shield and it takes all the arrows for you.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it.
But you're limited to not being able to do anything else.
Being honest, I could see that working with something like the ability dig in, roots caster, but increases AC and radius, something like that, where you're rooted, so you can't be running around like you can't hit me, but that will block those arrows then. Idea.
Oh, I like it. And maybe your Q and E still work, but your WASD do not. And if you don't Q and E to the right direction, then it doesn't stop the arrows. I like that. Cool. Devs, take note. We would like to see shields stop arrows if you are dug in and you can only spin. You can't block.
Dig-in's not even in the game yet, so.
We could do the same thing with blocking people. Then you could use people with shields blocking people through doorways, through town gates.
Yeah.
To stop the bandits from getting in and robbing the town of all their, awesome pies or whatever.
A little more effective line of sight stuff using people also, not just preset items.
Yeah, so you can LOS off of an avatar, not just off of a rock.
One of the common things I hear people is, what about those trolls blocking you in town? Okay, it doesn't work. You can't block players in non-PvP zones. You can only block NPCs. And PvP zones, you can block them because, hey, if you're in the way, they can kill you.
And one of the nice things with adding that level of collision and things like that, we already have collision in the game where NPCs are responding to us. It just builds upon that now on the combat aspect of it. And yeah, avoiding the troll part, that's not going to be too much of an issue. But it really adds a huge depth to the combat. And with the line of sight issue with people, if Violation's on the other side of a crowd of people in a giant fight, and I feel like hey, I want to shoot him and none of these other people, I should magically have my arrows go through every single one of those people and hit this.
No.
Ain't gonna
I agree.
happen.
That's why I always have a large crowd of people between me and you.
Okay, I have something to say.
Please do.
I'm looking at the group chat, and John Tate, back at 2:33 p.m., I think, said no fizzle with locked either. Yes, there is fizzle with locked, but if you're using a locked deck, you don't get the slug and the fizzle, the double negative for you. You only have to deal with a fizzle. I do not use magic. I use sword and board, heavy armor. That's me. You can do what you want.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
you
that's
were-
everyone, man. That's like seriously. That's this entire release. I don't see any mages anymore.
Yeah, when I heard you say no slug, no fizzle, I thought you were talking about the no fizzle with the lock. That's why I was confused. You're saying no slug because locked and no fizzle because not mage.
Right. No magic. Okay,
Yeah.
light. Okay, come on.
Okay,
Lock works
so
very well for melee,
read-
no magic types.
I gotta interrupt and read this. Envy. Everybody should know Envy. He's all over the place on the forums and been around for a while. And if I'm not mistaken, he's a PKer, which is okay. I'll find you and kill you. And he has a really cool idea. You ready for this? Fire spells should cook the plated tanks in their suit. I
No.
like it. If you're wearing
No.
and you get hit with a fire spell, you take an extra damage over time
No.
because
I'll be
your
honest.
legs are
No.
kinda hot.
So you want me to be able to torch my close guy friends from my area that love being meat tanks, cook them in their own juices. I like this.
Yes.
I
Like
like
to
this.
joke about, but no. But here's honestly what I want. Why is there no fire attack that is not a dot? It's not a AOE. It's not a anything else. Just a I hit you.
Fireball?
No, that's a ground attack. You have to target them, and it takes time to go there.
That's
So-
true.
In a fight, unless you're in a standing still fight, it's useless. I mean, it's not useless, but I mean, and it's also extremely resource heavy
Heavy. Yeah.
because it's an AOE ability. It's
And if
not a
you're-
single target.
Yeah.
I want to say basic attack, but
If you're moving and you target an opponent and you cast the fireball while you're running, it will hit that person.
yeah, and
Or
you can't cast it while running. It's resource heavy.
yeah.
So on and so forth. And we need for example, fire needs a thrust for sword users, or double slash, or
Right.
there's like multiple attacks for ranged has 2, 3 just single target hits. And I know that fire might be an AOE kind of build, but there's not even a ability for that.
Right.
So, X says to get rid of the bad, holding right mouse button to move view, lock camera, and add blocking for right mouse button. X, as much as I appreciate your input, I disagree with you. No, legitimately, I actually am one of the few people who love our current system with control of the camera. I think it's very intuitive for me. I have no idea why everybody complains about it. Obviously, the devs know something about it because I've seen them make comments and say, yeah, we'll work on this or that. But I've never had a problem with my camera unless I'm inside of a building and I hit like a joist, or when I'm in the tents and I hit the little bars, it like does these weird little like really close jumps and pops back, and it's kind of irritating. But that's it. Like when it comes to camera, when I can see, it's easy for me to control it. So you guys have feedback on that? Do you guys have something you can
Yeah,
add?
overland map, we need rotation. That's the one thing missing there.
Okay, I bite. Yeah, I would like to be able to.
Honestly, I'm fine with the camera as is. I get the blocking idea, but I don't think it should necessarily be a right click. Now, having it as a key bind that you can set up, sure, whatever. If that person wants to right click to do it, I don't think that shouldn't be an option. But I don't think the default should be that.
Let's go back to arrows for a minute.
I don't
And
know. Just go for it.
blocking the arrows. I have I have this big mucking shield, and I have plate armor on, and the arrows always hit. Always. They do some kind of damage to me. Second, why is a fire arrow and an earth arrow or whatever it is not arrows? They don't have to be attached to an arrow to work.
Um,
Like, yeah,
because it's magic.
Conjured.
It's a conjured arrow. It's not a actual physical arrow. It's a fireball in the shape of an arrow. The idea of it being piercing. Hence the why, like the earth arrow, the obsidian arrow? Yeah, obsidian arrow can ignore armor is because it's a conjured whatever obsidian that can pierce your armor.
okay. If an elf is attacking me, an elf archer, what kind of arrows do they have? They always hit.
Here's my problem. This is actually one thing I want to bring up, and I hear from a lot of people.
They're homing arrows.
This is one thing that I'm taking true to heart on this one, and this is the common comeback that I hear lately with this. I've not been happy with mages this release at all. Is, for example, every time I get hit, I'm interrupted. Every single time. There is logic behind things. They're like, well, if you're trying to speak a spell and this guy smacks you in the face, you're not going to be able to keep talking, so you're interrupted. I get the logical real-life theory behind it to a point, even though that you can't say magic words and fling fireballs. But it's not fun gameplay. If that was true, then if I ever did get a fireball off, it would burn you alive. And you can have some realism in the game, but there has to be fun gameplay behind that realism.
True.
Yeah, I actually think that you've got something there with the fireball burning you alive. One of my biggest complaints that I have right now is the fact that I do not have the same competitive edge as a mage that a melee user has. The melee users can walk up to you and one-shot you. I've seen them do it. I'm not asking if it can be done. I have gone from 112 health to 0 health in one skill. Sure, it was 2 attacks, but it was one skill. Okay, and I don't have anything close to that as a mage. And historically speaking, the video games I've played in the past, since I have no real-life magic experience, I've never cast a fireball in real life, I'm basing this all off of game. The games I've played in the past, when I am a mage using magic, I can do high-end damage, but have very, very squishy feel to me. So it feels different than I'm used to by being so squishy and also having less damage. And I get that I can attack at range and they can't. I get that. But I don't see the actual benefit because they can close the gap and kill me. And I can't kill them in that time. So that's my comment there is, go ahead. You look like you have something you want to say.
Yeah, this is going on this topic is another thing that I always have enjoyed the glass cannon build. When I say that, literally take the 2 words. Glass, I die really, really quick, and cannon, I blow you up. And if it was possible, I wouldn't mind me being super squishy if it was possible for me to blow you up. And I've always enjoyed that kind of build because while we have this 5-on-5 fight, I would try to sneak off into a bush and start killing people, and it was their fault for not noticing me sneak off and hide in the bush. But I'm not seeing any cannon. All I am is glass.
Jerk's
Go for it.
got a comment that might actually cater in on this. I think the always hit will change once they introduce cover and hit areas. That's not in the game yet. So,
Sure, but I feel like that is all about range mostly because if a melee is hitting you anyway, you can't just duck and there's cover. You know what I mean? He's already being able to hit you with the sword. So I feel like that's more of a ranged thing overall than anything to do with melee. My complaint is melee, to be honest. That there's nothing you can do against a melee. I've had some mage fights and had fun doing it, but there's nothing to do with melee. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does anybody have anything they want to toss in on that topic of?
Well, I'd
Yeah,
love
I
to be
only
able to dodge arrows, but I'm a tank. I can't dodge arrows, obviously.
Let me ask you this then. Would you be fine being able to dodge and/or block arrows if when that arrow hit you, it did more damage?
Yeah,
See,
I'd be
as a
fine
glass
with it.
cannon, I am fine if the fact of when somebody gets me, they kill me. I mean, I'll put this up, and one of my favorite characters in the games. I think I'm not going to say I'm for the game, and I'm not looking for this to be that. Is World of Warcraft. I played an elemental shaman. If a rogue got on me, he could kill me within less than 2 seconds, and there was nothing I could ever do about it. I was fine with that.
Exactly.
I never
Yeah.
complained for him to be nerfed, but if I
Mm,
could jump him, I would crush him because I did a ton of damage.
right.
I'm
Well, as
fine
you,
with being squishy if I could have a cannon.
okay, as you go up in levels, as I think Violation said earlier, you get more hit points. You get more skills.
What the problem is, though, is there's no ability that does that much damage. Because, for example, I can't even cast a fireball that doesn't do that much damage because as they're hitting me, it interrupts. You can't cast if somebody's hitting you.
That's
Yeah,
true.
the interrupts in this release have been atrocious. I don't know if they increased it, or if it's just because people don't die, or what. I don't know, but it in combat PVE, I have two low level monsters hitting me. They can stop me from casting a heal. I have to have an instant cast healer. I can't heal myself. There should be a point that I am good enough as a healer that I can survive two very low level monsters hitting me without getting interrupted. I think that it doesn't make any sense.
If you're
Go
if you're
ahead.
hit, it should be even if not interrupted, delayed even. You know, you get a hit, it kind of stuns you for a second, then you continue what you're doing, and instead of every time interrupting you. Now, occasionally it could interrupt, but have a delay on it, so you're not having to start the entire over all the way. It just kind of slows you down for a second, and then you pick back up where you left off on your cast.
Yeah, I'd actually noticed that as my melee build, which had only just a little bit of life magic, I was almost never interrupted when casting heal. But the moment I switched to a full magic build, interrupts went up more than double in combat. And it was there's some quirk in there somewhere that needs to be addressed.
I'll
Yeah,
be honest.
my build right now has absolutely nothing that can get interrupted. I just went with all instant cast level 1 skills because they can't be interrupted, and that's all I need to survive.
I'll be honest. Best heal in the game, Death Touch. Can't be interrupted. It does damage. It heals.
Yeah.
The points in
I
the
have I have Death Touch and Instant Cast Heal are the two things I
Um,
use because
my perspective. I don't think every single attack should even be able to interrupt. Stuns, things like that, and maybe have an ability that specifically interrupts. But
Backward.
as an experienced mage or whatever, just because somebody slaps me on the shoulder doesn't mean I have to stop speaking. Because I believe the theory behind casting is that you are speaking words, and those words engage in that spell. Just because something hits me doesn't necessarily mean that every single time I would be interrupted. I mean, if they bash me across the head with their super mace and stun me to the ground, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Just slow you down a little bit if you get hit.
Yep, agreed.
okay, so control point Veritas Pass. You guys want to zone on me? Are you in the game right now?
No.
Are the other four or the other three of you?
Already zoning.
Are
But
you in the
yes, it
game?
is awesome. Feedback on that one. I think it's great. I think it is fun. More of them.
I'm gonna go ahead and start a screen share here, and I'm gonna pick Shroud of the Avatar.
I hung
And then,
out in that area
everyone-
for a couple
You
of
said
rounds.
Vertus Pass. You're in
It was-
City and Keep, I thought.
Oh, am I at Obsidian Keep? Can you take me to Vertus? I wasn't paying attention. I was on the Hangout. Vertus Pass. I need to go all the way back down.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta take the moon. I gotta take the moon gate. I know.
That being said, Obsidian Keep's new. I think it's a really cool area. I enjoyed exploring
I
this.
just went to the new area and I was like, okay, we're good. And then I looked over here and I looked, okay, Veritas Pass will become your first prototype control point. And
Well, since we're talking about new areas, let's talk about the three big ones: Obsidian Keep, Virtus Pass, and the Swampland. All
Oh,
three
yeah.
are very well done.
wave goodbye.
Don't forget Bridge, Soulless Bridge.
Oh yeah, and Soulless Bridge too. Those four, they're all very well done. The sheer amount of content that they've pushed out in redoing the overland map and adding these new areas is awesome. They're working their tails off over there.
One thing I've been trying to tell everybody too is I'll admit, combat and especially in PvP, I was heartbroken this release. But with that being said, I understand it's pre-alpha. I am not lowering you, bros, and this is just input, so that way there is input, and this is mine, not necessarily everybody's. But I want to explain that I am not irritated that this is, if it is, because for example, the PvE side of things, the new content was phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great.
Don't get lost violation.
You see me doing my
Going in
circles?
circles.
You doing my circles? I'm a pro status keyboard turner.
Cartography Guild, you need to hook up with Violation here and teach them some base level survival skills.
Like W.
Either that, or I'll just give them a copy of my book, 30 Days to a Better Avatar, because he needs it.
30 Days to a Better Avatar, signed by Golem Dragon.
It's halfway finished already, and that half has been proofread by my brother Zero Sparrow, so it's coming along pretty well, actually.
Mm.
Oh, shoot. You better sign it.
Oh, of course, you're getting a PDF copy with my actual signature put right in there.
Can I
Well-
feel your signature? Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm thoroughly enjoying this hangout because I got a new USB headset today, and it's working great.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. While I'm waiting for this to load, is somebody else at Veritas Pass before me? Veritas Pass, whatever. No? Yeah?
No,
And
No. Okay. Customization. Hair will now play nice with helmets. That got pushed back.
yeah,
So those of you who are wondering why Violation is still bald, it's because my crown still makes me bald. So,
and so does the carnival hat and mask.
and I'm sorry, but if you get here, let's invite. I see Jerk is here. Hi, Jerk. Let's invite some people that will potentially follow me.
Oh, so I won't join in then because, yeah, following you, that's a scary thing.
Hey,
look!
Did you name yourself Golem Dragon, or what did
Tiny
you name-
ominous
what did you name yourself?
object that looks dangerous. Yes, let's go over there. No.
Hey, I like it. What'd you name?
Not in there.
the funny
I'm
thing,
not online.
the funny thing is me talking about being a glass cannon. I still typically was that idiot that rushed in, and I would die, and everybody would be like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Hang on, I'm gonna do something that I shouldn't do. If there's anything profanely said, that's not my fault. Hey,
Oh no.
I could get a couple of you guys to whisper me in game. I'm gonna invite you to a group, and we're gonna run Veritas Pass. So yeah.
Oh, by the way, how can cats talk?
It's another world.
It's a world of magic.
I'm gonna hop back down.
I want the cows to talk to each other in some towns and tell
Gossip.
stories that make their milk run cold, like
There you
during
go.
Halloween and things like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Halloween attributes for this game yet.
Hey,
My
we
pumpkin
need some
skill's
Halloween
gonna max
stuff.
out.
For those of you who don't know, my birthday's on Halloween, and I'm turning the dirty 30. So,
Youngster. Oh, wow.
I am definitely feeling old, even if I'm not.
to stream, yo.
Exactly. So, but
Well.
yeah, Halloween. I kind of was bummed out that there wasn't like some giant pumpkin that I could put in my yard and say, look, they put this in for my birthday.
Mine's the second.
See, so we both got gypped this holiday.
Yeah, we
Gosh.
Oh, just think, it's going to go 24/7 soon.
You forgot the PM.
One thing we still
PM,
need to get in the game is like poisonous toads and other stuff that add fun blur effects during combat.
Hmm.
I was thinking
Okay.
some of that kind of high level stuff where poisons and toxins really affect your combat skill and can really make things
Well,
visually
and if
Are you
interesting.
seriously not in game? I thought you were joking, but I don't see you.
No, I'm not in game.
I mean, the
Okay, that's fine.
fraps is bad. Less than 20. Come on.
Um,
Frame
I
rate.
was getting 60 a moment ago,
Yeah, I
and
know.
I was standing next to the moon gate. It dropped down. I wonder if I turn like into the moon gate, how bad it'll get. Like, look at that, 15.
Actually, that was the first time I had seen the Battle of Solus Bridge up, and that was the new PvP zone, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah,
it's just
there's-
literally, as I clicked it, it switched to Solus Bridge, the normal one. I was like, man!
You missed it.
I just totally went to Solus Bridge because you said it, and we are trying to go to Veritas Pass. I'm not paying attention, you guys.
Oh well, there's a 5
I
minute
need-
timer.
Well,
I
you know,
need
there,
5 minutes, so.
there is something called, CRS.
Yeah, okay, well, let's get this on to the next topic, NPC conversations. So,
Oh my God!
yeah,
Don't get me started. No.
I want to start off with ouch, and then move into holy cow, I love it. So the
Ouch,
starter
the bugs
is
where you don't see anything except randomness.
the starter with the when you talk to an NPC, then I'll become the focus of your screen, blurring out the background with a dedicated chat window for the discussion.
Yeah,
So
it happens now.
I'm sorry, I think somebody's trying to
Happens
get
for
my
me.
attention. They're going through all the different channels in TS3. But anyway, attention me. No, I'm going to show you guys that while we're waiting on this, and one of you guys can go to Veritas Pass, and I will zone to you. Yeah, essentially, it's a really cool idea. It just didn't work, you know? What do you guys think?
There were times where I double clicked on NPCs, and my person would just start walking around. One time I left the zone, and it didn't even get into conversation. And there were so many times where it would lock the camera in on a close-up view of the background.
I think the system is cool, but it's super buggy. And for example, I do believe if you zoom in on it, and then you close your window, you should be able to double click on it again to reopen it. For me personally, you can't reopen it. I have to exit it and then go back into it.
So I'm going to show. I'm going to
all
show
things I
you
see
with
in
the decoration trader, and I'm going to double click on him, and look, I get zoomed in. It did take a second, but it did work. And I'm going to show something that didn't work before. I'm going to close this out, so naturally I think the screen's going to go away, and it doesn't. Okay, so
Right.
as a new person that has never played a game before, I'm going to be so lost and confused, I don't know what the heck's going on. I hit escape and I get brought back. So this is what we're talking about right now. This conversation zoom that draws you into a one-on-one screen where it makes it look like the two of you are having a great conversation. So for those of you who missed out on that, talk to an NPC and they'll start talking to you like this. So some of the bugs that are known, if you zone on somebody while they're in this screen, you are SOL forever. You have to close the
Nether
screen to come
regions.
in. You can't get out of the screen sometimes. Other times you can't get into the screen. Other times while you're in the screen, somebody else tries to talk to you, and it makes it to where that NPC stops talking to you. I've had all those things happen. So, yeah. Outside of the bugs, because it is very, very buggy and painful. It's a pre-alpha. We've got to be accepting of those quote-unquote features. What's the issue with this? I could tell you my biggest one is with PvP, but ignore that. Like, what do you guys see as issues, and what do you guys see that's great?
I think it zooms in a little too far, a little too close on some of them, not on all of them. Yours right now is all right, but some of them it gets like right in their face.
Yeah, it's that inconsistency that is frustrating. Biggest concern I have as a roguish type player that will periodically dive into PvP, I like the ability to be able to look around me at all times. I don't want someone sneaking up behind me and killing me in an open PvP zone very easily.
While you're talking to someone.
So should
Yeah.
this interactive? Because I think it's cool for the people who want, like, especially for single player and for things like that, who want that interactive feeling. Would it matter at all if this was toggleable?
No.
I don't see why it would hurt anybody if this feature was an option but not enforced. Because, for example, to be honest, I didn't think about it in the PvP situation. That would be a huge disadvantage if somebody starts hitting you and you're like, oh no, and it takes you 10 seconds to get out of it. Obviously, it
Yeah,
wouldn't take that
and
long,
and-
but
I'll tell you right now, the first thing I'm going to do if they keep this in the game, the first thing I'm going to do if somebody starts becoming a griefer, I'm going to walk up to a vendor and I'm going to say hello to him and I'm going to escape out of it and wait for him to try to gank me. And I'm going to sit here not moving so they think I'm in conversation with the vendor. And I guarantee they'll try to gank me and I'll just turn around and be like, what? So, like, I mean, it gives you a clear disadvantage for shopping, which I get. Partially it makes sense, but I also
your
don't get.
disadvantage should just be that you're paying attention to the window, not that your character is locked.
So Jerk is at Veritas Pass, by the way.
Yeah, like I love how it sucks you in, especially with certain conversations that are very story driven in non-PvP zones. It's a lot of fun. It reminds me of some other games where it really puts that nice heavy focus on story, and that was what first got me to even pledge to the game in the first place back during Kickstarter.
Huge story matters. It was missing in UO, and I think it's important that they have it here. Hey, Jerk actually just mentioned something. If you want to come in here, man, you're welcome in the Hangout. I know you've been watching, but I like some of the stuff you've been saying. He just said that in Star Wars: The Old Republic, they made you invulnerable when you were in conversation.
As long as it followed all loopholes of exploiting it, you can't do it in your combat, so on and so forth. There weren't too many of them in the PvP world, and so you don't have all these little safe spots all over the entire thing. I could see it. I feel like there's too many things to dodge throughout that, though. Fine.
Live conversation response, Jovix, if you're still watching, no, you've always had to put the stuff on the table, and if you double click the icon, not the name, it'll take everything off the bench and put your next set of stuff on the bench. So with crafting, when you have the book open, I'll open the book here real quick, you have to actually double click on the icon itself, not on the name anymore. And there's a hesitation jitter to it, so they actually fixed all the bugs with the autoplace. I haven't had any, so I'm pretty sure all the bugs with autoplace are good. So
I want to ask, do people see my name backwards like I do in the chat?
no, your name is forward to me.
Okay. Well, I know what I can do to fix it for me, but that's okay. This is only the second Hangout I've ever done, so.
No worries. Yeah. So, did we make it to the right place? Veritas Pass, Veritas. Hey, we made it to the right place.
Going.
It only took like 30 minutes, but we made it. Okay, so we were able to show you NPC conversations. So essentially, 11 stuff has been covered. I guess at this point I would say let's go ahead and show off Veritas Pass a little bit and then give you guys a chance about commenting on other things, non-R11 stuff, just the state of the game. What do you guys think about the current state of things?
Well, since I've been with the game since February this year, I was not a backer, but I did get in on Founders. It has improved so much. The first Overland map was, blurry, and it's been refined so much through R11 that it almost feels like a real map.
Ugh, I can't get a hold of X here. There.
Regardless of the art style, I definitely agree. The Overland map has really come a long way. I still miss the paper style map a little bit myself, but at the same time, I really enjoy how far and how interesting and fun the art style is on the current Overland map. It actually is difficult to choose which is inherently better because both are really good. It's just which art style is personal preference.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun to run around and explore and find areas. I really hope that there's going to be lots of hidden hexes.
I would like to see it changed. I want to have the Overland map be an actual zone like we're in right now, and have you walk around and actually get like little tiny walls you can't jump over for the cities that have the huge walls, and you have to like, walk into their little opening of the wall for the gate. And when they close their gates, you can't walk in and get into the city. You know, stuff like that. I think that'd be really, really cool if they would introduce the actual map. It's a zone right now, and you can have your whole party on it and whatnot. But if they would take it to the next level and actually make it to where you could walk around and move your screen like that, I think it'd be even better, you know?
Yeah, the rotational part, that's a huge thing. But I like the panning, the zooming in and out. There's a lot of the functionality that we want and need in there. It's just how far are they going to polish it? And some of that stuff we just don't know yet. Chris hasn't shared a lot of that with us.
Random topic I want to jump back to. Somebody asked me magic and crit, and I sat there for like 10 minutes and I didn't crit. Can magic crit?
It used to be able to, but I haven't seen a crit in Magic all release.
So that could be another big problem, is maybe there's something stopping magic from critting, and that is one of the biggest nerfs. I don't know. But if it is, I mean, it's a pre-alpha release. If this is the only release that's this jacked up, and I'm not going to say it's all that jacked up, but combat-wise, and PvP especially, I'm not a fan of it. I'll put it that way. If this is the only one, hey, it's a pre-alpha. Who cares?
Yeah. All right, so essentially we have to take and control this point, and as you take and control this point, waves of archers come and try to kill you. And similar stuff like this is going to be in the game at different points. And I think it's great not just for leveling, but also for filler gameplay. When you just want to go and kill stuff and you don't want to have to follow a storyline, I think this is great. You know, I think there are times where I don't want to focus. You know.
Yeah, and this is the kind of replayable content too that regardless of what level your character is, it's fun to go back to and just do with other people, friends, and just
I've always
have
loved
fun
these.
randomly killing stuff.
I've
Yeah.
always loved these games. I know there was one in Gears of War where it was like Horde mode or something like that, and you're constantly getting overwhelmed. Forever ago, we played a Star Wars game where you could control a vehicle, and then there's just waves of the stuff coming in on you. I've always loved these type of things because it's just a way to pass time.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when there are exceptionally difficult ones, and it's the same idea of the challenge dungeon, but in reverse.
Yeah, and
What
the
do you
fun
mean?
part
Like
is
it's harder, and then it gets easier as it goes on?
No, the other way around. That
it's harder as the
as
higher
you keep
level
controlling
mobs.
You just said the challenge dungeon in reverse.
No, the challenge dungeon in reverse because in that one you're progressing through. This one, more and more like different types of mobs. Think of the challenge dungeon, but instead of going to room after room after room after room, as we hold this, different mobs come and it gets harder and harder and harder and harder and harder.
Okay.
So the reverse is in.
I don't disagree with that, and I think that goes with density too. I think that what we were talking about before, they're coming 3 at a time, and I would love to see them come, 6 at a time right now because we have so many people, and it makes it that much harder.
Yeah, it's more of the balance stuff that having these tests is going to do nothing but help as Chris can then start twiddling his imaginary evil mustache and go, okay, what can we do to make things more and more difficult? Because obviously the challenge dungeon got beaten too easily last release, and it needs to be redeemed.
No, it didn't. There were like over 50 deaths in that one room.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Room,
it was beaten, and therefore it must be redeemed.
The only room that was truly
come
too
on.
easy, and it wouldn't have been beaten if there wasn't the bug for it, is the mimic room jumping on top of the chess. That was the only part that I would say was too easy. Because there was no way we would have beaten that.
I disagree because I ran around the room and died. if you remember, I never jumped on the chests. Okay, so I'm just saying. You can train those in the same way that you trained the room before that. You just have to actually do it, you know? Okay, well, is there anything else to cover in this hangout, guys? All right. Well then, this is going to be our first short hangout. I love it. I'm okay with it. This is going to be
90
our first
minutes?
hangout
Yeah.
that doesn't hit 2 hours and have more stuff that needs to be said. This was an R11 recap. I'm going to give everybody a chance to say who they are. Let me go ahead and come out of the screen share. So, hi, I'm Duke Violation, and I'm getting my butt kicked on screen right now, so give me 2 seconds here. I'm Duke Violation, and I'm doing these hangouts every couple of weeks. So I'm going to drop this down when we go persistent to where we only have them once a month, most likely. Every couple of weeks is just getting difficult for me to keep up, as well as other things that I'm doing. So stay tuned. If you guys want a spot, I don't usually give out spots the way I did this release. You usually have to RSVP. They are going to be on either Saturday or Sunday, and they're usually in the afternoon or the evening. So if you want to watch, you are welcome. If you want to comment in IRC, you are welcome. And if you just want to comment and not watch or read anything, then you can do that too, but we usually don't pay attention. Anyway, again, if you guys don't mind taking a moment, just I meant bye, not hi. If you could say bye and who you are. Gollum, go ahead.
Golem Dragon from Ultima Codex, the Dragons, Cheeky Fox Studio. I got plenty of stuff on my plate as well, so scaling back to once a month will be a good thing for me as well.
Galliman?
Yep, I'm Sir Galwin, Knight from Port Phoenix. I am the harbor master. I am a professional gamer since I have nothing else to do and the government won't let me work. I've been with WoW and Ultima since the beginning. I enjoy both of them. I have stopped playing WoW to play Shroud. Goodbye.
And C?
I'm Sgamano, co-leader of Order of Vengeance and avid PvPer, and I will be playing Shroud for a long time.
Mole?
I'm Muldertab from Bear Tavern. I'm the guard captain, mostly in charge of PvP and PvE stuff. I've been playing Shroud since release 2. No, release 1. I did start in release 1. And I just hope everybody enjoys it. Remember, it's pre-alpha, and everything's going to change, hopefully for the better.
And my last thing I'll say before I send us away, these hanging out from the community, not from Portalarium. So be forgiving. We don't know everything. We won't know everything. And be forgiving on the team of developers as well. Be polite to each other. Continue conversations on the forum. If there's something we talked about that you guys want to keep talking about, please do. ShroudOfTheAvatar.com has a link to the forum under the community section. And we would like to invite you to come let us know, even if you're not a backer, come let us know what you think. We think that we have the best community in all the games that are out there. So the best way for that to grow is to invite you in. So anyway, once again, thank you for watching, and you guys have a great rest of R11.